They're within your reach. I hope ideas are bubbling up within you right now. Our next speaker is a medical doctor that uses storytelling to influence behaviors. He's built a community of over 10 million people across digital platforms. And I would like to welcome to the stage now Egemba Chinonso Fidelis, popularly known as Aproko Doctor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? So I want to tell you about malnutrition. Because when we say malnutrition, the first thing we think about is stunted children, wasted children, or even underweight children. And of course, these are indicators when you're monitoring malnutrition globally. But there are hidden stories that I want to tell you about. Emeka and Nkechi. Emeka is a kid who is 12 years old, has been kicked out of his public primary school, and at first glance, you would think he's a bully. But you also need to remember that Emeka was born to poor parents who could only feed him with what they could afford. As a result, this boy fell ill a lot of times and was in and out of herbalists, in and out of prayer houses rather than hospitals. As a result, he performed poorly in school and had to fight other kids and was frustrated simply because he wasn't doing so well mentally. Today, Emeka is no longer in school, and then the underpaid and overworked teachers in the school can't help. Who do we blame? Let me also tell you about Nkechi. Nkechi is smaller than most women her age. Aside genetics, she also battled malnutrition as a kid, and that affected her growth as an adult. She's about to have her first child, and the closest general hospital to her is about 40 kilometers away. What she doesn't know is that because of her size, her pelvis might be too small to properly deliver, and as such, she runs the risk of bleeding to death. Nkechi is just one of many women with similar stories. If I ask around, what does malnutrition mean? We automatically think stunting and wasting, even when you search online. You would hardly see an overweight child trying to, as a result for malnutrition on the first page. But being overweight is also an indicator of malnutrition, but it doesn't seem to get the same exposure. However, according to data from UNICEF, the number of children that are under 5 and stunted is steadily declining since the year 2000. However, overweight children under 5 are also steadily increasing. At every stage of our lives, from even when you're an infant to adulthood, adequate food will help maintain your body in optimal conditions and reduce the risk of you getting NCDs, diabetes type 2, amongst others. But how many people know this? That's also because we ignore a common cause of malnutrition called ignorance. Very few people understand that your health starts from your plate. And this shows that people are not empowered with the right knowledge to take health decisions into their own hands. This is where public health education comes in. What we're basically trying to do is to reinforce and change habits that contribute to poor health, helping people develop the right attitude towards food, the skills and the confidence that they need to make better nutritional decisions. However, I wish that information alone was all you needed to change. And in my experience, I've found that accurate information by itself is not enough. Because from what I've found out, public health education and the public's interpretation of it is greatly influenced by the level of formal education that your target audience has. In other words, the less educated you are formally, the more difficult it will be to understand health concepts and how they affect you. If we're going to make any changes, we have to use this tool in our hands called social media to change the knowledge, the attitude, and the practices of people, especially towards their nutrition. Over the last couple of years, I've been able to build a community of over 10 million people interested in healthcare across most social media platforms. We've been able to achieve this by using culturally relevant banter, storytelling, and simple languages. So what can we do differently? We need to train public health professionals at every level, because most of them are nutritionally deficient knowledge-wise. especially in areas that are resource poor, and we do not have the luxury of multidisciplinary approach to healthcare. We also need to infuse education into entertainment, which is basically what T-Spice and Chef T are doing, because food is a part of lifestyle. And the host of these shows have to be equipped with the right nutritional knowledge in order to pass along to people. We also need to tell more stories. As soon as I mentioned Emeka and Nkechi, a lot of you chuckled, simply because emotions are a very strong way for people to retain information, and we need to use that more often. And lastly, we owe it to our kids to revise and add even to their school curriculum, because from that very young, tender age, they need to know better nutritional information. And if I say nothing, I want you to remember these last words, that your health starts from your plate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aproko Doctor. Now, we would like you to post on social media and share with all of your networks what you're currently hearing and learning. So please bring out your phones, bring out your devices. You can take a selfie. If the person sitting next to you is your friend, take a selfie with them. If they're not your friend, take a selfie with them all the same. And please use the hashtag Nutrivision 2024.
Have you heard the word hungry? Hungry and angry. My name is Ndidi Okonkwo-Uneli. I'm the president and CEO of the One Campaign, which is a global advocacy organization that fights for the investments required to ensure healthy life and economic growth in Africa. Some of you might know me through my other hats. I'm the founder of Leap Africa, the co-founder of African Food Change, sharing such information with us, and really through their life examples demonstrating what is possible, right? They are living examples that you can use your knowledge to change lives, and I'm proud of you both. Well done, well done. So I'm delighted to introduce one of the champions of nutrition globally, Mr. Bill Gates, who has devoted his life to really transforming health, not just in Africa, but across the world. I consider Bill Gates a friend of Africa and a friend of Nigeria because of the countless hours, the investment, the time that he spends in developing our country and our continent. And I'm really honored and delighted to welcome Mr. Bill Gates to the stage while he's coming in. Please give him a round of applause.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for coming. In a bit, you'll get to meet my friend John Baptiste, who's been in Nigeria this week, and he and I got to do some health visits today, and I know you'll enjoy hearing from him. The last time I was in Africa, they had me make a few remarks about Afrobeat artists. And I didn't know what I was talking about, and people gave me a hard time for reigniting this old cats versus new cats debate. But rather than really understand that, I'll focus today on nutrition, which is a very important area, something I'm excited about, and that our foundation is putting more and more resources into because of the opportunity there. I'm not saying that it's simple. To really solve it, you've got to work with the health sector, agricultural sector. You've got to educate people so they're controlling their own diet. So there's a lot to do. Even the food industry itself can often add ingredients that will make a big difference. But we've seen that by investing in nutrition, the impact of that is very dramatic. And so I love it, when there's examples that work and where we can take those and benefit children all over the world. The Gates Foundation, we work in developing countries. The majority of our work over the last 24 years has been focused on Africa. And within Africa, the country we've done the most work in is here in Nigeria. And some things have really gone incredibly well. In particular, child to death has been cut substantially, and been cut in half in Africa because of better health care, particularly getting vaccines to more children and adding new vaccines. Together with a group we helped create called Global Alliance for Vaccines, new vaccines for diarrhea and pneumonia were added and got out to the majority of children, and that's literally saved millions of lives and improved the health of those children. So they can achieve their whole potential. But now we're seeing that the thing that's holding back potential the most is malnutrition. Malnutrition affects your brain, it affects your body. And in sub-Saharan Africa, 2 in 5 people are undernourished. And unfortunately, this rate is not yet going down. In fact, with the inflation that you've seen here and in other countries, it's as tough a problem as it's ever been. If you're malnourished, you're at much higher risk. If you do get malaria, pneumonia, diarrhea, you're at double the risk of dying for those things. But even if you survive, you're not able in your education or any of your activities to do as well as you deserve to do. And we see this malnutrition through stunting, which means height for age. We see it through wasting, which is overall weight. And part of the way that we're going to solve this is by improving agricultural productivity. Malnutrition, part of it is having access to a variety of low-cost foods, particularly things like milk and eggs are quite powerful. And so making food more available, lower cost, using better seeds, avoiding the pests that often reduce agricultural output, and understanding that even as the weather's changing due to climate change, that we can come up with seeds that deal with not only the increased temperature, but often can thrive with less water, or even in cases where you have too much water, be able to still be highly productive. And so it's a key time. It's a time when we have a lot of ideas in the health, agricultural areas, how to substantially reduce malnutrition. It was actually pretty mysterious because, you know, many of the kids who get malnourished are having access to enough food. It's not purely a shortage of food. You have acute cases where that is it, but often it's that their diet isn't simply matching, and so they're not able to absorb the nutrition. Now, we did a lot of studies where we'd take twins, where you'd have one twin that was not growing appropriately and the other twin was, and try to understand, okay, what was going on in the gut of the child, you know, seeing that the bacteria in the gut, which is called the microbiome, was different, seeing that caused inflammation, and figuring out, okay, what is a low-cost intervention to get rid of that. Yeah, we're bringing innovation in all these different areas. I mentioned the new seeds. We're getting better advice to farmers, you know, through their cell phones, telling them about the weather, telling them based on the weather which crop varieties they might use, helping them through their phone understand about borrowing to get better seeds and be able to use fertilizer. And so it's, you know, that is super exciting. We can also change the crop so that they have more of these vitamins, the key ingredients in them. For example, we have a form of sweet potato called orange fleshed, which has been developed to withstand heat and drought, and it provides a very significant amount of the vitamin A you need. So it's superior in every way. And amazingly, just that making sure you have enough vitamin A strengthens your immune system and can reduce child mortality in some communities by as much as 30%. You know, understanding what children should eat and fortifying these staple ingredients is a very key tactic, and that can often be done at very low cost. You know, cooking oil, for example, is another vehicle for delivering vitamin A. And that alone in West Africa would save over 14,000 lives a year. And, you know, so now, you know, people are saying, okay, let's do this large-scale fortification. Let's help farmers pick the right varieties. Another insight, as we've been studying malnutrition, is that it starts very early in life. And so in many ways, if you want a child to have their best health, you have to help the mother even before pregnancy, and certainly during pregnancy, have very good health. A lot of our interventions are focused on helping mothers, helping them thrive throughout pregnancy. You know, we not only look at the child-to-death rate, but the maternal death rate. And that has not gone down as much. There's new tools coming along for that, and nutrition helps with that as well. But that's been a more stubborn problem to solve. And Nigeria in particular has had a problem with bringing that down. And we're very committed to get the science and partner to bring that down a lot. You know, the vitamins that you get during pregnancy as you do those prenatal visits, we've added new vitamins. So we have a thing called the multiple micronutrient supplement. I just heard that there's 3 million bottles of this, what we call MMS, coming into the country. And so pretty soon mothers will get these additional vitamins. And we've shown that MMS could reduce 2 million cases of maternal anemia and save the lives of 70,000 babies. We're bringing the cost of that down. We're making sure mothers are hearing about it, but you know, just another great opportunity. And we need to get these things out. We need to get them out. Malnutrition, of course, affects the most rural and low-income communities, and so we have to make sure that we're getting outreach there, making sure that those messages are coming through to women, making sure that the primary health care is helping out with that. Lots of opportunities here. It was impressive to us, the demand for this get-together to talk about nutrition. You'll all have opportunities to be leaders, whether it's in financing health or delivering health or advances in agriculture. And we can all be advocates for these great practices, and lots of room for you to contribute and achieve this dream that all kids should be fully nourished and therefore have an opportunity to live up to their full potential. Thank you.
Those excellent remarks, Bill. We've been waiting to hear from you, and the young people have some questions. They've loved your speech. Great insights about innovation, the role they can play. And the first question I have is from a virtual participant, and I'm going to read it out, from Dr. Mariam Aidara, founder and president of the Joliba Institute. And she's asked, how can philanthropy play a unique and strategic role in addressing malnutrition across Africa, driving sustainable development, and helping the continent unlock its full potential?
Well, I'm a huge advocate for more philanthropy. In fact, later tonight I'll meet with a lot of the top philanthropists here in Nigeria and talk about the great work they're doing and how we can work together more. Philanthropy is sometimes unique in that it can fund the research, and it can recruit the great scientists. So in a lot of this understanding about the microbiome, the gut, the bacteria that live in your gut, were Gates Foundation research studies done in many locations throughout Africa. Recent ideas, last time I was here, I went down to a hospital and saw where a lot of pregnant mothers are anemic, and we ran a pilot to show that you could do a single infusion and cure their anemia. And so, we're great doctors here, but we funded that. Eventually the implementation, the government has to play a very strong role in that. Philanthropy can help with those startup costs, really prove out the models. Philanthropy can do things like, we made a huge volume commitment to buy these MMS vitamins. And so the manufacturer saw that, okay, if they're going to be able to make millions, then they should commit to do it at a much lower price. So philanthropy often is kind of innovative. It can do things like research that take 10 or 15 years, where politicians, they're not generally elected for 10 or 15 years. So some of the longer term things, one that we're working on, it's not nutrition, but it'll probably be 15 years of work before we get there, is having a cure for sickle cell. And that's something that only philanthropy took on, this idea of having a very low cost cure. We have a super expensive cure, but not low cost. So philanthropy helps push things forward and helps the government design the programs. Then when you want to get out to everyone, okay, then that's when the social safety net, the government really needs to come in. And some regulations, things like, okay, food fortification, making sure that the manufacturers are putting the iodine and the salt or the vitamin A in the cooking oil. That's up to the government, where the philanthropies have helped prove that that's valuable and help come up with ways of doing it at very low cost.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent example that the Gates Foundation has set, investing and then letting others take it to the next level. And that's an invitation for many of our philanthropists to do the same. We have a second question from a student who is in person. Aisha Aliyu, a public health student from Nile University. Please approach the mic and ask your question. Let's give her a round of applause, yes.
Right?
You've got this, go.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Aliyu, and as a student of Now University, I am concerned about the coexistence of undernutrition and overnutrition in Nigeria, both of which are forms of malnutrition actually. So what comprehensive strategies do you think international organizations and African governments implement to address the entire spectrum of malnutrition in Nigeria in a way that will fit Nigeria's unique cultural, social, and economic context?
Thank you so much, Aisha.
Yeah, so you're probably aware that strangely, the world is suffering from both overnutrition and undernutrition. Particularly in places like the United States, where we still have some malnutrition, but very little. We have overnutrition. And so this idea of healthy diets, which fast foods are really bad for you, how do you control sugar, how do you control salt? I would say 20 years ago, not much was understood about that. Now, I'd say we're about halfway to understanding both malnutrition and overnutrition. And so dietary advice, in a place like Nigeria, there's some people who need to avoid overnutrition and some people who need to avoid undernutrition. And, it's really, one of the groups I saw today is a World Bank program called Nigeria for Women, where they're doing women's groups and trying to scale up women's groups. And part of the beauty of those groups is that's a great opportunity for mothers to share best practices about feeding. How do you make sure in those key years, which are the first 5 years, that the diet is completely appropriate? Part of that is getting protein into the diet, which there's a huge number of ways to do that. But a lot of kids who are undernourished, they're missing specific vitamins. Unfortunately, that's in fairly small amounts, so that's often easy to fix if it's recognized. Or they're not getting enough protein, and that's where things like milk and eggs and making those way lower cost, way more available, come into allowing mothers to provide the very best diet.
I love the term that I think you've alluded to with your remarks, food is medicine. And it's a really powerful thought that you've just shared about what we put in affects our health. Now we have a question from Chinanye Uwaka, a lawyer and goalkeeper. Chinanye, please approach the mic.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to you for all the work you do for the continent and also young people. My name is Chineye Uwanaka. I'm a lawyer. I like to call myself a nation builder, and I'm a proud goalkeeper. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So my question is, what role can young people play in leading this fight against malnutrition? Secondly, how can they leverage innovation and science-based technology to fight malnutrition in their local communities? Thank you.
Well, part of the incredible strength of Nigeria is it's a very young country, and so who are the voters? Who are the people who are going to set the policies in the future? It's people your age or even people who are younger. And so really, how do you deal with the inequality, which I think, not getting vaccinated or having malnutrition is kind of the worst type of inequality. What are the policies that you get the right programs to even the most remote parts of the country or even the lowest income parts of the country, and have the capacity there to make sure that those both the ingredients, the food is available, and the understanding of how to act on those things. There's certainly a lot of things you can do in terms of what career you pick, but also either by giving donations or volunteering time. There's a lot of non-governmental organizations that speak out about these issues. It's fortunate that people care, and it's so important to the future of the country. Kind of the magic combination is that you're well-nourished and healthy, and then you have an opportunity to have a great education. And those two things, they really go together. If you're healthy, then you can thrive in your education. The Goalkeepers program was, where we recognize people who are working on equity-related issues. I think the nonprofit sector in Nigeria is growing quite a bit. We want to help foster a lot of that and make sure that health issues are not the only issues, but they're part of the issues that your voice is telling the politicians, hey, money is very scarce, but these are things that we care about and should be prioritized because they really enable the future for the country.
Thank you, Bill. Our last question for this segment comes from Eva Bauer, Project Manager for the West Africa Fortified Parboiled Unpolished Rice Project. Eva, please come to the mic.
Hello everyone, I'm Eva Bauer, Project Manager for the West African Fortified Parboiled Unpolished Rice Project at TechnoServe. And my question is, so Nigeria faces significant challenges with adequate funding for large-scale public health and nutrition interventions. So what creative financing mechanisms could the Nigerian government adopt, as well as other relevant organizations, towards funding large-scale public health interventions? And also, how can we get the private sector more involved in these efforts? Thank you.
Yeah, one part that I'm optimistic about is an area that TechnoServe works in, which is in agriculture. Nigeria today is a net food importer, and yet, given the geography, if the right, credit facilities and advice to farmers, soil surveys, things are available, there's the opportunity for Nigeria to more than double its food output, which would be pretty transformative because it would mean that you'd be a net food exporter, and so instead of having to use very scarce dollars, particularly at the current exchange rate, to go buy food, you're actually, bringing dollars in. And particularly agricultural productivity is important for the incomes in the rural, more northern areas. And so really embracing digital approaches, better seeds, to get these kind of an agricultural miracle to take place, that's going to help the country in terms of equity, in terms of women, and in terms of these nutrition issues. The other piece, the health piece, and it will have to be a priority. Over time, there are plans for Nigeria to fund the government more than it does today. The actual tax collection in Nigeria is actually pretty low. And so, if the citizens want the education and the health things, as they develop the confidence that these programs can be very well run, and our foundation's involved with a lot of the exemplars, that are showing the way in terms of making sure the money is spent really well, running a very efficient primary health care system where the employees are doing great work, the centers are where they should be, you don't have underloaded centers or overloaded centers. And so there's I think it's exciting that we're driving the credibility of those health programs, and so that the citizens will feel like, yes, primary health care is amongst the priorities that should be very funded as you get some fiscal flexibility. And of course, you can learn from many other countries and adopt different best practices.
Thank you, Bill. I think that's a fantastic response. And I love how you painted the picture of the possibilities, that we can feed ourselves, nourish ourselves and the world if we make the right choices, the right investments, and put our people first. Now, in your opening remarks, you said you have been traveling with a friend. And we are so excited to meet this amazing friend of yours. And we have a short clip to introduce him before he comes on stage.
John, you're welcome.
How did you learn to run a business? The entrepreneurial skill is impressive to me.
I'm a member of this fellow Duwag. My own success story is from grass to grace. This work has really changed my life.
Welcome, sir.
Yes, it's great to be here.
Yeah, I love you sitting. Sit down. Yeah. Thank you.
How many children, on average, do you see that are malnourished?
There are not much. I have not seen the red or yellow because I live in the community.
That's amazing. Yeah.
50% of my grant funding comes from the Gates Foundation.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Let's take a picture.
Long time running,
but I know
change gonna come.
Oh, yes, it will.
Hey! I just jammed in my croaky voice with John Baptiste.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You sound amazing.
John, please join us on stage. So you guys, I want to introduce him properly because he's been in Nigeria for 1 week. He now has some Nigerian names. So Yorubas have named him Wale. The king has returned. So he is John Wale. And then we have named him Obi because he performs with his heart. He serves with his heart. So John Wale Obi Baptiste is on stage. Please give him a round of applause. Yeah. Welcome, John. We're so happy to have you.
Yes,
so you spent about a week traveling around the country. Tell me, what's been your impression? What do you think?
Oh, well, the food, the people, the music, the expression of humanity, and the grand potential is staggering. There's so much that can happen. There's so many flickers of light that if we collectively commit to around the world, it can become a huge bonfire. And it's a moral imperative that we care about what's going on this continent. And it's a moral imperative that we focus on our brothers and sisters around the world. And central to understanding what the future is understanding what's possible here in Nigeria.
Talking, I thought about some of the people who have encountered you on the field, and you said something to me earlier today. You wanted to see the lives of the weak. Mm-hmm. What did you learn from them?
Yeah, people are soulful here. Reminded me back home in New Orleans where you meet people and they have a certain dignity about them and they do a lot with just a little bit. People have the pride of home and the pride of culture. You know, speaking with Dr. Bosade Afolabi, she left and studied and could be anywhere in the world practicing. She decided to take her craft and her expertise and come back home. The dignity and the pride of home to really know that, oh, I can do this, but I'm going to decide to do that, is truly remarkable. And that's something that I will always bet on the Nigerian people because I see a lot of folks like that. Divine Mercy, she's also like that.
Thank thank you for betting on the Nigerian people. Now, this is a session on nutrition, so I have to ask you about food. And you mentioned food already.
Yeah,
but what's your
Flavor
favorite
City.
Dish? So what's been your favorite dish so far? What are you going to
Jollof rice.
Jollof rice. And I know there's some Ghanaians and Senegalese online, but
Yes.
you know ours is the best.
See, I don't want to get into all of that. I just know that it was amazing. And that's, you know, again, being from New Orleans, it's hard to impress us with food. We haven't had a bad meal. I feel like I've been here, you know, it's been 10 days, it feels like a month. It just feels like so much has happened. The flavors you feel when you eat, it's visceral. The music that I've been able to play, I've made music with people. I probably have half of my next album already. Just the range of experience is so synthesized. There's so much in every moment. And you know, I believe music is a spiritual practice. And I believe music has this ability to do something that's greater than just entertainment. And that's why I feel called to be here. I don't even know what the future holds, but I'm just grateful to Mr. Gates and the foundation for inviting me, and I'm grateful to have met and being able to share this moment with all of you.
Thank you, John. Now, Bill, you keep coming back, and we're grateful for that. And you were here last year, you returned again. So what has stood out most during this visit? And what are some of your surprises? What are some of your learnings? And what are you most excited about?
Yeah, it's great that over the years we've been working here, we've developed a lot of long-term partners. One of the people I worked with in Nigeria for literally decades is Dr. Pate, who's now the Minister of Health. So it's great to have him in that very important position. I think, the president, reaching out to Dr. Pate and getting him to come showed that, okay, even in times when, expenditures all have to be looked at very carefully, health is going to be something important. We can adopt a lot of innovations. It's great, we're, sitting and talking about, okay, what is the next phase in primary health care? How do we take these new ideas like our understandings of nutrition or things to solve anemia? We have a fantastic way that was tested here in Nigeria where after a woman delivers, making sure that the bleeding doesn't get out of control. And it's actually a very inexpensive type intervention. And so, there's a lot of progress. There's some frustration, things aren't happening faster, but, young people help us by feeling that way. It's great, to sit with partners and talking about what role we can play in helping out. We've worked on polio here in Nigeria, and we achieved an unbelievable success in terms of getting rid of wild polio. Now we have another form of it that is still here. So I was meeting with the traditional leaders who, in some ways you might consider them unlikely partners for us. But, from the very beginning, I went up and saw the Sultan of Sokoto, and he's rallied a lot of the leaders to help us. And they play a key role in making sure parents know that vaccination really is not just safe, but the way to make sure your child stays healthy, doesn't get measles, doesn't get paralyzed by polio. So we're renewing our engagement with our key partners and, talking about how we deal with all the challenges and yet, tap into the incredible potential of the younger generation here.
Thank you. And one last question. I'm going to pose that to both of you. You talked about Dr. Philanthropy, who is phenomenal. But through my work across Africa, and especially in Nigeria, there's something called Japa. Have you heard of the Japa syndrome? We're losing many of our Nigerian youth to greener pastures. they feel like they have to leave the country because they don't have hope. I'm sure none of them sitting in this room are applying for their visas. I know all of them want to stay. All of them want to stay and be the next Dr. Folabi. But what would you say to them, to give them hope about their role in the future of Nigeria and their role in this fight for a more nutritious, healthy, vibrant nation and continent that's built on these great ideas and innovations from young people? So I'll start with you, John.
Well, I think that every time you contribute and give back to where you're from, the result is something that's beyond a monetary value. That's something that is unquantifiable. There's a legacy that you can have that sets you apart from deciding to pursue something else. Now, everybody must do what's right for them, and everyone who is here, I'm sure, has so many things that they want to do and offer the world. And things move in life in seasons. I would encourage you to dedicate a season of your life to being here and being back home.
I'd say that, a lot of people can go and gain experience, education elsewhere, and then come back. Remittances to Nigeria are a very helpful thing. So that's your brethren who are abroad, sharing in whatever success they have over there. And then a lot of them will come back. If you look at the success of countries like China and India, there was a period of time where it was almost all people going from China to the U.S. or India to the U.S. Now, they've been very well trained. They're amazing. Some stay, but a lot go back. So for Microsoft, we built a huge lab in India because our great Indian employees were going back to India, and we had to take advantage of that. So, it's great for people who want to get involved in equity type things here in the country. It's great, to use your voice about how you think the government should be more efficient or do a better job. So the level of contribution, the opportunity to take this country, which today has potential that's so unrealized, and the difference of the choices that are made in the next 5 years, I'll say, okay, is that potential 50 years from now, or is it, 15 years from now? We have a great team here led by Uche, who came back to help out. And so they're helping us understand and connect with our partners here. And, so I'd say, a key thing I would say is, yes, there are huge challenges, but having the attitude to see how you meet those challenges, that's how you make a contribution.
Thank you. Now, I can't have them leave without asking. We have two geniuses on stage, as you know. We have a musical genius, and I'm going to ask him to bless us with just a closing, either something on your instrument or something from your voice, to inspire these young people to become the nutrition champions that we know they can be. It's been a heavy, heavy session, right? Lots of challenges, but lots of opportunities, right? Can I hear, while he gets ready, can I hear some words from you? From this side, one word you're taking away. Shout it out. This is your moment. Stand up and shout out the word. Oh, yeah? Your health starts with your plate, yes? Food, yes? Inclusivity. Diet is the best medicine. One from this side, quickly.
Food is medicine.
Food is medicine. Yeah. Over to you, Jean.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for your commitment to Nigeria. Thank you for your commitment to Africa. Thank you to our online audience. And one last request. You guys rise. I want all of us to say, I am a nutrition champion. One more time. I am a nutrition champion. And then let's give the loudest round of applause to our dear guests, our fantastic speakers, and our online audience.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Oh, really? Oh, nuts.
Good afternoon, everybody. How many of you are hungry? So, I'm going to do something really partial right now. And if you have a problem with it, that's your problem. Because life is not fair. How many of you are wearing an item that has green in it? Any amount of green whatsoever, you qualify. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Why? So now, I just say clap for yourself for wearing green. I just clapping. Why? It's the culture. Agriculture. Your head is correct. So, green, when we see green, the first thing we think about vegetables, right? Yes. And how many of us know what vegetables are? Because I'm about to break some tables right now. Remember, you're on live TV. So, what does that mean? It means that but don't worry, it's fine. The world will forgive you. Vegetables, right? If I call something, if it's a vegetable, shout yes. If it's not a vegetable, shout no. Right? Eforiro. Be confident in your answer. Okay. Cucumber. Thank you very much. Because that cucumber that you mentioned that is a vegetable is not a vegetable. Depending on who you ask. Because if we're defining a vegetable, we're saying that a vegetable is a part of a plant that is not a... First of all, what's a fruit? A fruit develops from a flower and has seeds in it. Now, the cucumber develops from a flower and has what? So is it a vegetable? Some of you can't get past that green color. I'm going to ask another one. Bell peppers, vegetable or fruit? People are becoming wiser. Potato. I like this crowd. It's a starchy vegetable, also a root. Please clap for yourselves. How many of you have heard that if you eat... I feel like this audience is a little bit too young to understand this myth. Any small thing, once they just call your age, it's a problem. Cool down. If you've heard this myth, raise your hand. If you eat eggs, you'll turn out the thief. You see what I said? You are too young to understand. It's the older people amongst us that are raising their hands. Meanwhile, eggs are one of the cheapest sources of protein, right? So have a lot of it. Before. Oh! I stay out of that. Okay, so lastly, we're going to do something, right? I'm going to make a selfie, and we're going to shout, "We are all nutrition champions." Nutrivision 24. What did I say? The loudest person to shout it probably gets a gift from me. I'm not entirely sure. So selfie time. 1, 2, 3, go. Nutrivision 24. I love you guys. A round of applause for yourselves.
Was that amazing or what? Please, a round of applause to all the fantastic people that have been here. A special round of applause for our protocol doctor who has said he's going to take a special photo session with all the students in here. It has been a fantastic Nutrivision 2024. If you agree with me, say Nutrivision 2024. It's been an utmost pleasure being in this room with such young, vibrant, beautiful, handsome youth. But I must tell you, the VC of Nile University, Professor Dili Dogo, would have loved to be here. In fact, he tried his best to be here, but he's currently engaged outside the country with some important matters and has asked that I kindly relay his apologies and his message to you. Hence, I do that. How are we doing? Great. So on behalf of the management, students, and staff of Nile University, I want to extend our sincere gratitude to all of you who have made time to be here with us today. You are really, really very special. We know that time can be very tight, but because of your commitment to nutrition, you have made it here. Thank you very much. Thank you. There are a special group of people that have not been on this stage, but you see the lights here, your bus rides here, your food that is waiting. They have worked night and day, burnt the midnight candle to make sure that everything works. Please, let's give a special round of applause to CCSI and our co-host, TechnoServe. Channels TV, also a very great partner that has made this the success that it is. We have really, really enjoyed co-hosting this event. And today we see firsthand, as I look around this room, the power of commitment, innovation, and dedication. If we continue with these features that I have mentioned, then the sky is the limit. Now, when it comes to approaching nutrition, food insecurity, malnutrition especially, which is at the core of what we're doing today, then we realize that together, when people like us with like minds come together, that is how we can overcome. The insights we have shared, because I can see that we have been speaking among ourselves, and the partnerships we have formed in this room are key to achieving a very prosperous Nigeria, Africa, and globe. For us at Nile University, we think our work goes far beyond degrees. True, Nile University students and other students, thank you. It is far more than degrees. If all you are getting after you go to university is a degree, then you probably have not done very well. Our aim is to touch the lives and be in the hearts of the communities that we serve. And together we forge ahead to make a progressive Nigeria. We do a lot. And as I see young people in this room, a lot is being done, and a lot can be done. I'll give you an instance of what we do at Nile University. our students and faculty developed drones that are able to do aerial surveillance of farmlands and identify early on patches that are not doing so well, crops that are diseased, therefore helping farmers increase their yield. Is that great or not? And young people like yourself, similarly, made an instrument that is able to clean up oil from rivers and lakes. What does that mean? It means that you have improved aquaculture. All that does is improve food security so that we have more nutritious foods at our table, reducing food insecurity and promoting nutrition in Nigeria. Please give yourselves a round of applause, all the youths that are doing innovative things. I believe today is the beginning of what we're going to be building together. Everybody in this room holding hands together, we can build an Africa where malnutrition is no longer a problem. Thank you so much, our esteemed guests, T-Spices, Aproko Doctor, Adeswa, our co-host. Thank you so much for contributing to this cause. Without you, we won't be here, and we know that you will continue holding our hands and guiding us through this journey. Now to the most important people in this room. If you think you are the most important group of people in this room, shout Nutrivision! Okay, if you are over the age of 35, I was not referring to you. Our youth, you guys are our future. You are the leaders of tomorrow. It is on you that the whole of Nigeria, the whole of Africa is depending on. Your passion, your zeal, your dedication, your innovation, that is what is going to move us from one step to another until we achieve our goals. No more jackpot. We are going to stay here. We are going to do it. Now, there is a popular African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Our aim in this room is to go far, to achieve what we need to achieve. It is not a 100-meter sprint. It is a marathon. And together, we will go far in achieving our nutrition goals in Nigeria. Now, if your noses are very, very sensitive, you will be perceiving some aromas wavering from here into your noses. Thank you, T-Spices, for having something to do with that. So I will not hold you away from our reception, but I will tell you this. Please, as you go out, don't stay alone, right? Now, university, don't stay among each other. University of Abuja, mix. Like, we really want you guys to network, share ideas, form teams that are going to advance this cause. Also, remember, we have a media corner. Please take pictures there. Post on your social media platforms with the hashtag Nutrivision 2024. The aim is this. This time next year, we're going to go back to those pictures and you're going to tell us what you have achieved towards advancing the nutrition goals that we have all agreed. So in closing, I will thank you very much and I will urge us to go far together. Thank you very much.
We're free to go to the reception, so doors are open. Please feel free.
No,
You've been watching our live coverage of Nutrivision 2024, a Pan-African youth dialogue on nutrition in conversation with Bill Gates and in collaboration with Channels Television, TechnoServe, Nile University, Africa.com and Goalkeepers.
You've been watching a live Channels Television event.
The massive introduction of weapons and means of warfare, and they are the ability to produce weapons and machines for digging tunnels, all under the auspices of Iran. The Prime Minister emphasized that the Philadelphia corridor will not be evacuated, indicating Gaza will become a terrorist hub if Israel backs down. The Philadelphia corridor has become a pivotal point of contention in the Hamas-Israel ongoing talks, as Israel insists on maintaining control over it, meanwhile Hamas and the mediators call for Israel's withdrawal to reach a ceasefire and exchange swap deal. The Philadelphia corridor, about 100 meters wide in places, is a demilitarized buffer zone running along the 13 kilometers on the Gaza-Egypt border. While staying in Israel, the hostages and missing families forums say more protests are planned to be held in several parts of the country, despite yesterday's court ruling. On Monday, thousands rallied outside the Prime Minister's residence, calling for an urgent deal to secure the release of the remaining hostages in Gaza. More scuffles broke out between the police and protesters who held placards with anti-Netanyahu messages. Some also set fire to the placards.
The main problem is not Philadelphia, not Rafah, and not even the war or the continuation of the war.